What's going on, guys? This is Ruben with the Essential Nerds, and I'm bringing you our first video game review. This is going to be kind of cool because we're going to start trying to do a little bit more on YouTube and get this content in different formats for everybody. So let's get into it. Biomutant is an open-world action RPG set in a post-apocalyptic fantasy world. It's developed by Experiment 101 and published by THQ Nordic. While we're not big enough to get an early copy for review, we still wanted to give you our opinions on the game. I've heard a lot of other outlets talking about the game, and they're kind of bashing it. And I don't think it's super fair for a game that's pretty much brand new from a team that's not huge. So I'm going to walk you through a few different aspects of the game and give you my overall first impressions. And since this is our first review, maybe by the end of it, I'll come up with some kind of a grading system, and we can take it from there. Just so you know, this footage was captured on a PC and a PS5. We wanted to see if there was a noticeable quality difference just due to the fact that the PS5 version wasn't going to be doing full 4K. So let's just jump into it. One of the first things I noticed when I got out of the character customization screen was the overall art style. And after getting through the gray tutorial area, I was dropped into the main map where everything really opens up and you can roam around. Right off the bat, the visuals really struck me in a good way. The game is beautiful. I caught myself staring off into the distance and just kind of riding off, doing that panoramic view. It's something that I really enjoyed, to where I was capturing screenshots a lot and sending them to my friends who haven't played it yet. And I really enjoy that about the game. The only time I had issues with the lighting was when I went into an enclosed area, something like a cave or a building. That's really the only time when the light feels like it's not enough. I caught myself a couple times after a mini boss battle in a cave looking for the exit, to where I had no idea where it was. So the dark only in the enclosed areas can feel a little bit too dark. But even at night, the nighttime is great. It has almost a blue tint to it, and everything is so bright that you don't feel like it's scary to be outside, which maybe it was intended, maybe it wasn't, but I really enjoyed it. The night and the mornings look great. It's just the only issue with the visuals would be when you're inside of a cave or a building. Biomutant's story is the part that we felt was pretty lacking. The way that they lay out your backstory, it's a little weird. They kind of spoon feed you little bits of information through NPC dialogue, and also through flashbacks and combat situations when you were like a little baby animal. The bulk of the story is given to you pretty quickly in the game. It just feels a little rushed because I wasn't given this information over a long period of time, or because the presence of certain NPCs wasn't a little bit more throughout the game. I didn't really feel bad when some things happened, or when there's a plot twist, you don't really care as much. So that was the only hindrance that I felt, was like the story really didn't connect with me, because I had a hard time finding a reason to like these characters, or a reason to want to help these characters. The game is fun, but the story, it just wasn't laid out in a way that made me feel like I was truly invested in what happens next. The combat system is something that I really enjoyed, but there are goods and bads to be had. While the amount of variety you have for your melee and ranged weapons is pretty vast, they give you a lot of different options. It made me want to try a little bit of everything, and I thought that was really awesome. I caught myself using these big crushing weapons, like a big club almost. I also would dual wield my swords and try those out, and then I'd go, well, what does it feel like with just one? You know, I want to try to do like kind of a samurai style combat. Same with the ranged weapons. You get everything from pistols, shotguns, all the way to like boomerangs. And so it made you really want to try a little bit of everything. The only issue that I had is that there's not a lot of depth with the combos and with the unlockable abilities you get with each type of weapon. You only get basically two unlocks. You get a combo finisher, and you get some kind of a special move. And that is for every weapon, but if you're going to find one style that you like, two unlockable combination things is not really going to be enough I felt at least. And I really wished that they would have done something almost like Darksiders 2, where they utilized maybe different timing or different buttons to really change the way that your combos come out. That way it feels a little fresher, because after a couple hours of playing the game, you do kind of feel like it's a little cookie cutter when it comes to the combat. The crafting is something that really sold me on this game. Combat was great and visuals are great, but the crafting is something that's completely different. Every building that you go into, there's gonna be a chest. And with those chests, you might get a super rare piece of crafting material, whether it's to craft armor or a ranged weapon or even a melee weapon. You're given so many different pieces that it's gonna make you want to keep making newer weapons, get stronger, or sell them and get even better items that are available in the shops. It's really cool because you never want to stop collecting and you never want to stop trying to build a better weapon, which is really cool. The other part is that armor and the weapons themselves, when you find them just out in the world, they're really unique. I found a couple hats, quote unquote, that were just creepy looking masks, and it's kind of funny and also terrifying. And it was so much so that I had to send pictures to my friends because they didn't believe that I found like a creepy monkey mask somewhere in the world, and I thought that that was really cool. Another piece of the gameplay mechanics that I thought was really interesting was the character creation screen. We play D&D a lot, and part of D&D is when you create your character and when you make your stats, your character is going to look or talk or think a certain way depending on your stats. If you have a character that has a lot of strength, they're going to be kind of beefy. But if they have no intelligence, they're going to be kind of a dum-dum. And I love the way that this game did that, where it showed you what your character will look like based on their stats. So when you put a lot of points into psi powers, your brain gets really big and your head gets really big. If you put a lot of points into your strength or vitality, you get kind of chunky. And I like that they did a visual representation of your stats, because that's something as a D&D player that I really think about when I make my character and how I'm going to act for my character. So I thought that was a nice little detail that Experiment 101 did. Another small little detail that showed me that they, put a lot of time and effort into this was the way that your little automaton he's like a little green grasshopper, and he's basically your companion throughout the whole game. When you start, he just is a flashlight. But as the game progresses, he gets different abilities. I know everyone's seen the hang glider. When you jump off like a high cliff, you can use a hang glider. Well, that's one of the unlockables that you can get. And it makes it so that he's not just a flashlight. And it gives him a little bit more of use to you, which is really cool. Overall, we thought Biomutant was a pretty good game. For something that we like to call AA, it's not an indie game to where they only have, a team of 5, but it's not a AAA game where they have hundreds of employees to work on it. We kind of put it in the AA category. And, for a game like that, we think it did pretty good. There are a few flaws, but I think that the success that this game has will lie on the things that it did right. A lot of the bigger outlets are really slamming the game, and I really do think it's a little much. If anything, it sets up a great concept, and hopefully, if it gets a sequel or a spiritual successor, you'll get a game that is really, really good. Because the things that it does well, it does really well. And the things that are a little bit lacking are not too hard of a fix. And so I think the next version or the next title, it's going to be really great. The only thing that I think Biomutant needs to do is really look at its dialogue and narrator, and probably its combat a little bit, and just add a little bit more depth. I think this game just has a problem with depth. But aside from that, this game really does shine for me. If we're going to do a grading system, I would probably give it a 7 out of 10. And for a 7 out of 10 for me, it means that I still want to go back into that world. I still want to set out and look for more stuff. I still want to get stronger, and I still want to see what else is out there that might be a tough boss. Experiment 101 has come out recently and said that they're going to be working on some difficulty stuff to make the game a little bit more difficult, maybe work on some of the dialogue stuff. And so with that in mind, our grade might change, but right now it's a 7 out of 10, and I think that puts it in a good place. And that's going to pretty much wrap it up for us, guys. If you're just stumbling across this video, my name's Ruben with the Essential Nerd Podcast, and you can find us on Spotify, Instagram, Twitter, basically anywhere that you consume media. Check us out if you haven't. If you're one of our listeners and you're here, what's up? Hopefully we can get more of these out as games start to come out and we get better at doing what we do. Let us know what you think in the comments. If you're new, let us know. And if you're kind of one of our longtime fans, let us know what you want from us. We want to do more content like this. We want to be on YouTube a little bit more. So hit us up with some new ideas. We have some new ideas in the works as well. Aside from that, we'll talk to you guys later.